Welcome to another installment with myself, Adam Grbcic from Kollosche Commercial, where we talk all things commercial real estate. Today, I just wanted to touch on 5 steps which you can take when you're doing your preliminary due diligence before entering into a commercial transaction. We would encourage that you engage either your solicitor or a consultant to do a more thorough due diligence before you enter in or go unconditional on a contract that you have uncertainty on. However, these steps might give you a preliminary plan to assess whether or not the asset has got good security. There's 3 types of leases in commercial property. There's a commercial tenancy agreement, which is a short-term lease generally used in industrial and commercial properties for leases less than 3 years. There's a commercial lease, and then there's a retail lease. So the first step would be to ensure that your tenant or proposed tenant is on the correct lease format for the property they trade in. You also want to make sure that the leases are signed correctly. Very often we see leases that are either not signed in the right section, not witnessed correctly, or signed by the wrong person. The lease review is one of the most important parts of your due diligence process. Some big things to look out for are things like your make good clause and what sort of default interest comes into play if your tenant stops paying rent. Step 2 within the due diligence would be to have a review of the security and the tenant. So who is the tenant? How long have they been trading for? How long have they been trading in that location for? And what sort of industry are they in? And having a look at what macro factors are affecting their industry at this time. The second item in relation to security that you want to have a look at is what sort of bond or bank guarantee is in place. Not only to cover yourself if the tenant stops paying rent, but also does that amount cover the cost of cleaning and removing all their items if the tenant does stop trading. Moving on to the third suggestion with the preliminary due diligence is having a look at the zoning and the tenant's use. So you want to be able to investigate whether or not the tenant that's trading in that property is a permissible use under the town plan and whether or not they've got the appropriate approvals. The reason this is important is that the council at any point in time can give a show cause notice to that tenant to stop trading, which will affect the ability for them to pay rent and trade at that property and can give you major issues down the line. The fourth item within the preliminary due diligence is to request a history of the rental payments from that particular tenant. Looking for things like, has he been paying regularly? Has he been paying on time? And making sure that the current rent matches up to the lease document and whether the correct increases have been applied to the tenant over the term of the lease. The fifth suggestion we have would be to request any building reports, building plans, and maintenance records for that property. You want to identify whether or not the property is in good order, but most importantly, you want to have a look at which items are going to cause or cost the highest capital expense if something goes wrong. One of the major items that you need to look at is the air conditioning. Has it been serviced correctly? Has it been serviced regularly? And what sort of lifeline does it have from the time you purchase? So you can take that into account when you're looking at your cash flow over the 3, 5 or 10 years, whatever your plan is for that particular property. Those are 5 steps which we suggest. If you'd like to see any of our other due diligence suggestions, on our website there's a series of videos where we touch on different topics and give you advice on a weekly basis. My name's Adam Grbcic. If you've got any questions relating to commercial real estate, please reach out. Thank you.